"Hey ma'am, that's weapons tech work." The voice, sharp and laced with unearned authority, cut through the low hum of the hangar lights. Brooke Warren didn't look up. Her hands were slick with a thin film of black grease and CLP solvent as she worked along. Flexible cleaning rod deep inside the barrel of the GAU-8 Avenger cannon. The iconic nose of the A-10 Thunderbolt II, the warthog, loomed around her. A brutish, functional monument to destruction. "Ma'am, did you hear me?" The voice insisted again. This time, Brooke felt a presence beside her. Slowly, she withdrew the boar's hairbrush from the barrel, darkened by carbon scoring, and turned her gaze to see a young staff sergeant standing there. Arms crossed, clipboard tucked under one arm, chest puffed with the overinflated confidence typical of a man who mistook rank for insight. His name tape read, Kowalski. "I heard you, Sergeant," Brooke said quietly, her tone controlled, measured. A few stray blonde strands had escaped her tight bun, catching the fluorescent light. She wiped a smear of grease from her cheek with the back of her gloved hand, leaving a dark streak that only hinted at the hours she had spent at this task. Kowalski's eyes scanned her quickly, dismissively. He noted the loose strands, the grime, the seemingly fragile frame in front of him. He did not see the coiled strength beneath her posture, the precise, economical way she moved. His assumptions were immediate and lazy. "This is a restricted task," he said, puffing slightly. "You need to be signed off on the 781 forms and certified on this weapon system. We can't have personnel from other shops deciding they want to play with the gun." The condescension was palpable, thick enough to taste. A few mechanics on a nearby F-16 paused their work, ratchets falling silent, forming a small, unintended audience. Brooke ignored them, focusing entirely on Kowalski. She picked up a clean rag and began wiping down the muzzle brake meticulously. "I'm authorized," she stated simply, her voice calm, unshakable, his face contorted. "Authorized by who?" "Let me see your line badge and your seat." No, it was an order, barked with the misplaced confidence of someone certain he had all the cards. With a slow, deliberate motion, Brooke reached into her coveralls and retrieved her common access card. Kowalski snatched it, glancing briefly at the photo Brooke Warren. His eyes flicked over the chevron insignia, dismissing it as he misread her rank. "Airman Warren?" he scoffed. "You're a long way from your dorm room. You're not on the maintenance roster for this aircraft. In fact, you're not on the roster for any aircraft in this hangar. Who is your supervisor?" "I want a name." He leaned in, trying to intimidate, to use his presence as leverage. Brooke remained centered, her weight balanced, rooted to the concrete floor, as if nothing could unseat her. "My supervisor is aware of my duties," she said evenly. "Duties." He sneered. "Your duty is to be where you're assigned. Not here." He gestured at the cannon as if to emphasize her mistake. Then his eyes snagged on the subdued patch on her left shoulder, arc olive drab, embroidered with a black skull wearing a maroon beret, beneath it for words that others may live. His sneer morphed into a triumphant twist. He'd found his leverage. "And what is this supposed to be?" he demanded, jabbing a finger toward the patch. "Unauthorized. Direct violation of AFI 362903. Out of uniform in a restricted area and interfering with a weapon system. You're in a world of trouble, Airman." He projected his authority for all to see, eager to cement his image as the vigilant crew chief. He had no idea that he was about to be schooled. The poke at the patch briefly broke her composure, but not as he expected. For an instant, the hangar dissolved. The smell of JP-8 and solvent faded into the acrid temps of burnt cordite and blood. The hum of the lights became the roar of a Pavehawk helicopter rotor lifting dust and gravel in Afghanistan's Korangal Valley. She wasn't on concrete anymore. She was on the mountainside, weighted with armor and medical pack, tending to a bleeding pilot. The patch felt heavy, not with authority, but with memory, a talisman of every life she had saved. Her focus returned to Kowalski, smug face and all. Calm, unshakable. Across the hangar, Master Sergeant Coles observed. 3 decades of service had taught him arrogance when he saw it, but this was different. His eyes landed on the patch. He recognized it immediately. Paraskiman PJ, he knew exactly what it meant, and he knew the danger Kowalski was courting. He pulled out his phone. Urgently contacting Colonel Matthews, MXGCC. Sir, it's Master Sergeant Coles. Hangar 3. You need to get here, Staff Sergeant. Kowalski is attempting to eject a PJ from the flight line. Pause. Then Matthews' voice. A what? Sergeant Warren, sir. From the briefing last week, the Colonel's tone hardened. Stay there. Don't let him move her. Inside headquarters, Matthews' fingers flew across the keyboard, searching for her file. The screen loaded a cascade of elite qualifications. Technical Sergeant Brooke Warren, Parascuman, Combat Diver, Military Freefall Parachutist, Static Line Jump Master. Decorations: Air Force Cross, Silver Star, Purple Heart with Oak Leaf Cluster, multiple air medals with V for Valor. She was no airman. She was a legend, a living hero, here on base to rewrite doctrine on A-10 support for rescue operations. Back in the hangar, Kowalski's frustration boiled over. He pulled out his phone, ready to call security forces. Brooke remained still, calm. The massive hangar doors began sliding open, sunlight flooding in, silhouetting a black staff car followed by the rescue squadron's green feet truck. All eyes turned. Colonel Matthews stepped out, flanked by the command chief and rescue squadron leadership. Their boots echoed in unison as they strode toward Brooke. Kowalski's confidence melted. The weight of true authority descended. Sergeant Warren Matthews said, voice ringing across the hangar, saluting with the respect due to a warrior. Continue your work. Brooke returned the salute, her voice even. No interruption, Colonel. Matthews turned to Kowalski, ice in his gaze. The command chief's quiet authority cut sharper than any raised voice. Your duty, Staff Sergeant, is to lead and develop airmen. You failed. You disrespected a hero. Brooke stepped forward. Chief Colonel, Staff Sergeant Kowalski, was protecting his aircraft. Standards are essential, but standards are for everyone equally. The standard is the standard, Sergeant. The memory of the patch flashed. A young Brooke, a bloodied ramp, a grateful A-10 pilot pressing the hand-stitched emblem into her palm. I'm alive because of you. Thank you. Weeks later, change rippled across the base. Bias training for NCOs. New Know Your Wingman initiatives. Her interview on Soldier's Legacy became the most viewed. She spoke only of the team and mission, not herself. Kowalski, months later at the range, struggled with his M4. Brooke appeared in civilian clothes, shooting with deadly precision. She didn't mock him. She instructed him calmly. You're anticipating recoil. Focus on your front sight. Let the break surprise you. He swallowed hard. Sergeant, I'm sorry. No excuse. Her nod was slight. Your passion is right. Aim it better. She smiled. The standard is the standard. Kowalski finally saw her clearly. A leader, mentor, and hero. If Brooke Warren's story of courage and quiet strength inspires you, like and share this video with someone who needs it. Subscribe to Soldier's Legacy for more stories honoring the incredible women who serve our nation.